Hello everybody and welcome back to Kat's Tiny Kitchen. Today we're going to do some bread. And I'm going to do some whole wheat egg bread. I made a loaf of it last week and it didn't even make it through the full week. So I'm going to make another one. I'm making actually two today, but we'll go through one recipe with you guys. So we're going to start out with, that's 2 cups of, I'm using self-rice flour. You can use regular flour. I just prefer to use the self-rise. Then I've got a cup of whole wheat flour. I've got 2 tablespoons of butter. I've got a teaspoon of salt. I've got a tablespoon of sugar. I've got 3/4 a cup of water, which you want around 105, 110 degrees so your yeast doesn't kill. Then, of course, I've got my yeast. This is fast rise yeast. It works very well for me. Then I have 1/4 cup of milk. And the last but not least, we have 1 egg. So now that we've covered the ingredients, let me get this recipe going. We'll get things changed around and we'll get started. So I'll see you in about a second or two. So what we're going to do first is start to get our yeast ready, because it's going to be about 10 minutes before it starts to get all bubbly and ooey and gooey. And I'm using my handy dandy Pyrex 2 cup. So I'm going to add my sugar. Then I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of milk, which I let warm up a little bit to room temperature. Then I'm going to add my 3/4 of water, which is hot tap for me. Then we're going to add our butter, which I did melt. And now we're going to get our yeast in there. Cut my package open. I'm going to dump it in here. And I'm going to give it a little whiskey poo with my whisk. I'm going to set this aside and let it do its thing. Hang on, we're almost there. So our yeast is proofing nicely, so now we're going to start out with our flours, both the flours, and our teaspoon of salt. And we're going to turn this on and let it mix together just a teeny weeny bit. Okay, so now our next little added bit of fun is our egg. Let me get this scraped out here. I'm trying to do this so you guys aren't being blocked. And then we got our yeast, which is really proofed nicely. Sorry I didn't show it to you. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this bad boy on about 2, and I'm going to add the yeast. And I'm going to put a little extra water in here just in case the dough's a little too dry. And this takes a couple of minutes for it to build into a nice little ball of dough. And that's actually perfect. I'm going to shut this off now. And let me get this bowl out of here and get my mixer pushed back. And I already have a bowl here that I've got greased that I'm going to put the dough in. And then I'm going to cover it with a lid, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour. You want it to double in size. And this is a nice ball of dough. It's a little shaggy, it's a little sticky, but it'll be fine. So we'll see you in a few minutes after my hour is up. Alright, we're back. It's been about, I let it go for an hour and 15 minutes, and it's pretty much doubled in size. So we're going to turn it out on a lightly floured surface. And I'm going to knead this a little bit. Not a lot. And this is a little firmer dough than the last loaf I made. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. Try and get this sealed up a little bit. It's got a lot of flour on it, so turn this under. There we go. Excuse me for my throat. And let me move this cutting board out of the way. And I've got my greased loaf pan. This is a really nice loaf pan that Victor got me a couple of years ago for Christmas. And I'm going to brush some of the flour off. Set it in here, and then I'm going to cover it with a damp towel. I think this ought to be, yeah, that'll work. I'm going to wet it. I don't want it soaking, I just want it damp. So I'm getting it damp. We're going to cover it and let it sit for another half an hour. So I'll see you in about 2 seconds for you guys, half an hour for me. We've got our last rise, which is 30 minutes, and this is what we come up with. This is a pretty good loaf of bread. It ain't going to be the perfect thing, but it's going to be pretty when it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to put it in the oven. I've heated the oven at 350, and we're going to bake this for 30 to 40 minutes. It depends on your oven, but I'm pretty good at like 30 to 35 in mine. So we're going to throw this in the oven, and I'll see you momentarily. Okay, we're getting the loaf of bread out of the oven. It smells really good. And it baked up really good. Ouch. So let me dump her. Flip it. And there you have it, folks. A perfectly baked loaf of wheat bread using an egg. All I have left to do is take a picture, cut it up, and eat it. So I thank you all for coming along today. I hope you all have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the next one.